Hello guys, we're starting taxation of virtual asset. Now, the book is taken from reference material from ICI handbook taxation of which is recently published by ICI Index Tax Committee. Um, Here is you find that reference like the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. All right, no part of publication may be reproduced stored in retrieval system or photocopy, so we are using digital copy. Okay guys, now let's start about the taxation of digital asset. It's recently came into force after Narendra Modi announced that virtual asset is now we need to tax. Now and let's start. Introduction. Cryptocurrency has cast fancy these days. A good number of persons, including several corporate from the various countries, are acquiring and holding cryptocurrency. People were confined to home as a consequence of pandemic, and that really provided time for many to dabble into various other arena. Crypto was one of the top runner in such as endeavor. The magnitude of existence and transaction have made many believe cryptocurrency equivalent to the virtual digital asset. Virtual digital asset are subject of all digital asset transacted on a blockchain and such as non-fungible token NFT, non-fungible token as NFT or crypto and other virtual asset. In layman terms, it's basically mean cryptocurrencies decentralized finance and non-fungible token NFT. However, not limited to these assets. Currency include all currency notes, postal notes, a postal order, money order, checks, draft, traveler check, letter of credit, bill of exchange, and promissory notes, credit cards, and such other similar instruments as may be notified by the Reserve Bank. Bitcoin has been one of the first cryptocurrency which entered in the market in 2009, and it was invented by the Satoshi Nakamoto. After that, several cryptocurrency came into the market, and some of the popular currency, Bitcoin Cash, Ripple, Litecoin, etc. As the estimate, thousands of cryptocurrency exist as of the year 2022. Cryptocurrency has been surrounded with a veil of secrecy, and this has been quite a long time in many jurisdictions remained as suspense from the point of view of legal perspective. The interesting debate has arisen about about the legality of cryptocurrency as a legal tender or medium of being accepted as currency in the payment system, settlement system. Further, taxation aspect has also been challenged for the government exchequer. The suspense and secrecy which is prevailing all along has been omnipresent. This has posed challenges to the legal system controlling currency in different geographies. As necessary consequence, this has also been a cause of concern for the taxman. The latest Finance Act 2022 has taken notes of the phenomena, as introduced a separate provision to address taxation of transaction in the virtual digital asset by amending provision of Income Tax Act 1961. Law has taken into its sweep all transactions into virtual digital asset. Newly enacted provision by the Finance Act 2022 for the first time have changed the taxation system, and there is a separate manner of taxing income from the virtual asset and losses therefrom. As a measure of anti-avoidance, tax withholding has been made mandatory for transaction in virtual digital asset. To capture these changes in the provision of Income Tax Act 1961 concerning taxation of gain and losses arising from the transaction and dealing in virtual digital asset, Direct Tax Committee of ICA has considered it's necessary to publish a handbook that shall provide useful information to the professional and other stakeholders on the tax aspect of transaction in virtual digital asset. The Direct Tax Committee appeal readers to communicate any improvement in the handbook and welcomes any suggestion. Also, Background of taxation virtual digital asset. The Income Tax Act 1961 provides in comprehensive manner taxation of each and every transaction and activities as also loss flowing from any transaction or activity. One may therefore wonder as to what can be objective for enacting separate provision for taxation of transaction and activity in virtual digital asset. Important reasons are here under discussed. In this decade, virtual digital asset have become immensely popular. The magnitude of deals in virtual digital asset has increased substantially, both in the terms of number and value. Thus, virtual digital assets are occupying a pivot position in economics of all the country in globe. The singular factor has resulted in emergence of market where settlement of obligations arising from transactions are being made by the exchange of virtual digital assets, particularly in the form of cryptocurrency and by employing such other virtual digital asset. The magnitude and frequency of this transaction has made it imperative to provide for a specific tax regime. The gifting of virtual digital asset is becoming fashion of age, and fancy for the same is the fast catching, and particularly in the tech world. The cryptocurrency is the most popular form of virtual digital asset. It is being used as a currency mechanism to settle consideration and debt. Currency of any country is backed by the ruler or government irrespective of jurisdiction. There is a federal or governmental authority monitoring and backing supply of currency and guaranteeing backing of the value thereof. Unlike this, cryptocurrency is product of blockchain. Creator of cryptocurrency has remained under veil of secrecy. Therefore, sovereign authority that shall own up and deliver value against such currency is unknown. The veil of secrecy has made it more advantageous for the anti-social and anti-national element to transact in cryptocurrency and remain in dark. Terrorists, it is believed, are hoarding cryptocurrency for the obvious reason. The fluctuations in the value of cryptocurrency are very wide and are unthinkable. This is a reason that Reserve Bank of India for a very long time has put a red flag towards private cryptocurrencies. Implications and cryptocurrency on the national security and financial stability can be serious. Stricter regime of taxation clearly indicates substanting the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, philosophy discouraging indulging in this virtual digital asset. Flight of the money across the globe without regulatory restriction is possible. It is difficult to keep trail of transaction in cryptocurrency, affording easy hideout for tax dodger. These are such other factors must have prompted the government to provide distinctive and for dealing in cryptocurrencies. The Finance Bill 2022, while presenting the Union Budget 2022-2023, 1st of February 2022, the Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman announced a new provision for taxation of virtual digital asset, including cryptocurrency and non-fungible token (NFT), stating that there had been a phenomenal increase in transaction in virtual digital assets. As she said, the magnitude and frequency of this transaction had been it's imperative to provide for a specific tax regime. Accordingly, for the taxation of virtual digital asset, I propose to provide that any income from the transfer of any virtual digital asset shall be taxed at the rate of 30%. This is a tool to encourage fields that contribute to well-being of subject and further government policy. Similarly, tax is a tool used to discourage activities that are counterproductive for the benefit of countrymen and disappropriate by the government. In the background, the Union Budget tax proposal addressed serious concern of unreliability and various negative factors from regulatory and tax perspective and transaction in virtual digital asset, particularly cryptocurrency being a dominant portion thereof. Proposal from the Union Budget presented through in Finance Bill 2022 have been enacted by a refinement therein, and accordingly the Income Tax Act 1961 has been amended. This proposal, after being enacted and becoming part of the Income Tax Act 1961, have come into force in 1st of April 2022, except provision for tax withholding, which came into force in 1st of July 2020. The amendments are aimed at discouraging entering into transaction including investment in virtual digital asset. It is widely believed India can possibly be the first possibly the first country to take such strict statutory measures to discourage transaction in virtual digital assets. The other world shall be keenly observing executing of this provision. Legislative intent. The section discuss provision from the Income Tax Act 1961 inserted by the Finance Act 2022 for the taxation of income from virtual digital asset and treatment of loss from virtual digital asset as also tax withholding obligation. In this belief, non-compliance attracts certain unpleasant consequences. Ahead of discussion on law, legislative intent has been narrated. This will be useful for interpretation of provision, particularly where there may be ambiguity. Honorable Supreme Court has ruled that now it is true that speeches made by the member of legislature on the floor of House when a bill for enacting a statutory provision is being debated are inadmissible for the purpose of interpreting the statutory provision. But the speech made by the mover of the bill explaining the reason for the introduction of bill can certainly be referred to for the purpose of ascertaining the mischief sought to be remedied by the legislation and object and purpose for which legislation is enacted. This is a code with the recent trend in doubt, not only in Western country but also in India, that interpretation of a statute being an exercise in excitement of the meaning. Everything which is logical relevant should be admissible. Other three decisions of Supreme Court, one is local Sri Krishna Trust versus Commissioner of Income Tax, the other Indian Chamber of Commerce Commissioner of Income Tax Act, the third in additional Commissioner of Income Tax, Surat Art Silk Cloth Manufacturing Association, where speech made by the Finance Minister while introducing the exclusionary clause in section 2 clause 15 of the act was relied upon by the court for the purpose of ascertaining what was the reason for introducing that clause. Handbook on taxes, budget speech. Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, while moving the Finance Bill 2022, dealt with the provision for taxation of virtual digital asset in the paragraph 131 in the following words: scheme for taxation of virtual digital asset. There has been a phenomenal increase in transaction in virtual digital asset. The magnitude and frequency of this transaction have made it imperative to provide for a specific criteria. Accordingly, for the taxation of virtual digital asset, I propose to provide that any income from the transfer of any virtual digital asset shall be taxed at the rate of 30%. No deduction in respect of any expenditure or allowance shall be allowed while computing such income except a cost of acquisition. Further, loss from transfer of virtual digital asset cannot be set up against any other income. Further, in order to capture the transaction detail, I also propose to provide for TDS and payment made in relation to transfer of virtual digital asset at the rate of 1% of such consideration above or a monetary threshold. Gift of virtual digital asset is also proposed to be taxed in hands of recipient.